Hello, evening. Welcome to another drive-by edition of the CantinaMX podcast, the Gold Cup edition, Mexico post-game. We are live from somewhere in Central Texas, and also from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Where
Yes,
joining us, my name is John Jagu, by the way, but joining us from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena is Joel Aceves. Joel Aceves, thank you very much for joining us, and you were a witness to the official beginning of the Tata Martino era, a 7-0 win for Mexico over Cuba.
that is correct, sir. Um, my second Martino era game. He has not disappointed. This is this is what his fifth game, and every game they scored three or more goals.
That
Which
is correct.
I do not expect Mex to hold, to keep up that pace. But it's very promising to see that this, in many ways, bit of a B team can perform at a good level.
It is. It is a team that is not, one would say, fully complete without a good number of players who were starters for Mexico in the last World Cup that are not playing on this team. And despite
Yeah.
that, Joel, it took all of a minute and 56 seconds for Uriel Antuna, the big tuna, to score his first of three goals. The first hat trick for Mexico, Joel, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
since Javier Chicharito Hernandez had a hat trick in the Gold Cup against El Salvador, which, as we found out later, was a dirty hat trick because El Salvador was fixing the match.
And dirty one. I'll take it. But yeah, I like the big tuna, and he's proven to be just that. I know it was Cuba, but how many times have we seen better players not able to do that? So again, it's promising to see the players doing good, and we're talking about Tuna, who almost didn't even make the squad. A big reason was because of other players calling off or injuries, and there he is. And something we've said on the show, and I know ad nauseum, and I know some of our listeners don't like it because they dislike MLS, but he plays for the Galaxy. He's on loan, but this is one of the advantages we've talked about, where if this league gives you playing time, you have to take advantage of that. That's one of the main things that you need as young players to become better is to get as much playing time as you can. That doesn't matter the league or the team, just that you're consistently playing.
Yeah, I mean, he is pretty much the poster child for what you and I have been talking about for the better part of the last
Yes.
2 or 3 years, about if you're a good young player, but for whatever reason you're not getting the exposure on the field as much as you would hope. And there's another league that is. I'm not going to say that MLS is on the same level of Liga MX, which it's not. But outside of, in the Americas at least, I mean, there are very few that do have the level that MLS has. So there's no. It would be crazy not to take advantage. And
Yeah.
the two players that did take advantage of that, Carlos Salcedo and now Uriel Antuna, where we are seeing the benefits of the decisions that they made.
Yeah. Yeah, and like just to push that point, because I know a lot of fans are under the assumption of if you go to Europe and then maybe you don't play, but you're learning from these other players because they might have some world class players. And a good example is Godinho. He was at the Portuguese club, and there was the Italian Buffon, I believe. No, wait, not Buffon. The Spanish guy,
Casillas.
Castilla. So and he comes back, and he's not really at any other level. But his now teammate Toño, who was playing at Lobos Buap, but he was getting all the first division games, all the playing time, and he's performing at a better level.
He is. I mean, at this point, it's the minutes are the things that matter. And whether you get the minutes in Liga MX or whether you get them at MLS or if you get them, I've never understood why Mexican teams don't loan players out to like the Colombian league or the Chilean league.
That's you said it there, John. Loaned. They don't want players on loan because they're, and you have said it as well. They're exporter leagues. They want to sell, and they're not going to sell someone that's on loan from Liga MX. They don't get money from that. I mean, we would have to pay, and by we I mean Liga MX clubs would have to pay. Like, all right, we'll pay you to have this guy, to help develop him. But it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Pachuca had a team in Chile. They had a team in Argentina, and I know in the past, like Toluca would send players to like an Uruguayan club. I forget the name, and it just hasn't worked. Those are very difficult leagues, very competitive, and they're just pushing out players to sell them. So it's just not going to work. But that's why MLS becomes so important, because very few first division leagues are going to take young Mexican players.
Right. No, that is a very good point. And MLS would be, they've done. It is a good place, as you pointed out, for young players to try their mettle. And Uriel Antuna, I mean, this isn't a big surprise. You know what? I mean, obviously getting a hat trick is nice, but I mean, he's had a very good, solid year for LA Galaxy. I mean, he's a starter for them. He gets to play next to one of the greatest strikers of the 21st century in Zlatan, and actually teams up and links up very well with Zlatan. He has a good relationship with him. And one thing I liked about tonight, Joel, is that yes, Mexico scored 7 goals, but they weren't trying to be, when they get into the goleada thing, they try to make like all these fancy schmancy back heels and one pass. They're trying to make all these pretty goals. None of the goals were particularly pretty. They were just goals. It was just a goal.
Yeah.
It was a game of just.
Yeah, Jimenez did miss the palomita.
Goals. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I have to admit, I got
10 minutes.
But most of the goals are just goals. Okay. All right. Well, we can do.
No, 10 minutes to get out of here. The police is kicking me out of I'm in lot I of the Rose Bowl, and so I'm gonna turn my car on, and I hope it doesn't make a lot of noise. My old jalopy.
Oh my God!
There you go.
Someone was
breaking in. The old jalopy.
Yeah. You need to go outside and crank it.
Those Cantina wages aren't. We need to ask Ron. But yeah, here comes the popo. They were making rounds in the parking lot, getting rid of the borrachos. Can you hear me, Jon?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. You're doing just fine.
Okay, hold on. Let me just.
You can even start.
Go on with your monologue.
Oh yeah, Sonia. All I was saying was that it was just refreshing to see them not trying to be fancy. They're not trying to make the extra pass or trying to score these outrageous goals. They were just scoring goals. Raul Jimenez, his first goal was a hard pass into. He didn't shoot. He didn't try to. Colocarlo al ángulo. All he did was he just passed it past the keeper. Uriel Antuna got a hat trick, 3 of them on rebotes. I mean, how opportune is that for your winger? To be crashing the goal mouth at the opportune time where he's able to clean up not once, not twice, but 3 times to get a hat trick.
Yeah, and that one, to his credit, that talks about like having good positioning and being able to read the game.
Right.
So I think that
it was good to see. Now, it is Cuba. We can't we can't ignore that fact.
But when's the last time Mexico put 7 against Cuba, Jon?
No, you're right. When was the last time Mexico put 7 up against anybody? It's been a while. And
Yeah,
the Gold Cup under Osorio and the last one under Chepo, and even the one under Miguel Herrera. Those last 3 Gold Cups, Mexico only won one of them, and they did not play well at all in any of them. They didn't play well in 2013, right after the Confed Cup with the B team, where the only
yeah,
player that really showed up was Luis Montes. Juliet Peña had a chance to do something, it didn't happen. Uh, Marco Fabian, Raul Jimenez even was on that team. He played the Confed Cup, and he really didn't quit himself all that well. So, you're right, though. I mean, this was the 3Gs, Joel, in their at full display. Ganaron, gustaron, y golearon. And I don't think any Mexico, regardless of whether they played Cuba or not, I don't see how any Mexico fan tonight could go to bed with, yeah, but, yes, Mexico won 7-0. Yeah, but they beat Cuba. I don't think there's a yeah, but today. I mean, that was a convincing win, and they did it. I mean, it was pretty relentless. It was it was Cuba really that bad in person, Cohen, or was it Mexico that just totally took over?
well, I think it's the difference, in quality. Mexico is just that much better, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, because look where the Cubans play. It's the country's more known for baseball. So yeah, we can't. Physically, they're always been good athletes, you know. But I think we like not to get ahead of ourselves, because as Mexico fans, we like to always use this result just to show the
Right.
superiority. But I think that even though Mexico is capable of that, it's not the norm.
No,
So
and it
that's why
hasn't been
we see
lately.
fans lose it every time the team is struggling, because they always think back to like the time they beat them this much, you
Right.
know. But the region is just very inconsistent. That's the main thing with the region. It could be very inconsistent. Like Honduras right now, they're trash, but at their best, they'll give anyone a headache. Um,
Sure. No, you're exactly right. And again, going back to the previous 3 World Cups, I have to look at the results, but I mean, I don't remember Mexico putting even 4 goals against anybody. I mean, they struggled to win knockout match. I mean, it was there were some ugly games played in in the Gold Cup in that time, and they haven't won the full 9 points of the group stage since 2011, when when Chepo took the Mexico to the Gold Cup and they won convincingly. They really struggled in the quarterfinals and semis, but other than that, they had Chicharito almost outscored all the teams by himself. It was the scoring table was Chicharito, and then every other team. I mean, seriously, I mean, he scored more goals than 10 of the 12 teams in the tournament. The Chicharito did. So, this was a really good start. And again, to me, it's I see it as Mexico, as Martino, and even he had said at the end in the press conference, which I'm sure you attended, Joel, where he said that
oh,
yes, we played well, but given the circumstances, I'm not so sure we can really look into learning all that much from this game. And maybe that might be true, but I think, as you said, Joel, Mexico winning 7-0, just it doesn't, this isn't Gold Cup 1993 where Saguinho scored 7 goals and his own Martini. So yeah, it's a very interesting result, and to me the most interesting part about it wasn't the 7-0 itself. It was just the methodical way that Mexico was able to get the goals and clean up after themselves and then take those opportunities, which, as we've seen many times in the past, it doesn't always work out that way, and they struggle a lot in these games.
Yeah, and it also is good seeing the players. They look motivated.
Well, that's good. It is a huge opportunity for a lot of players. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Joel. Caller, you are still on.
I haven't heard you.
Oh no,
Um,
I said caller, you are still on.
yes, sorry, I'm stuck in the mountains here. I'm in parts unknown. I don't know if it's affecting my. Um, but yeah, we're talking.
Well, I'm sure what you said there was very poetic and, and pragmatic and practical. Fortunately, I didn't get to hear any of it because, as you said, you were kind of going. I think we're both driving through some sketchy, sketchy signal parts. But that's okay. That's okay. Boy, the next game against Canada, easily their biggest test. Were you able to watch any of the Canada match while you were in Pasadena?
No, sir, I did not. I did
So,
not.
so
No, I
you
got there. I got there as they were already up 4-0. At that point, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna set up here, and because I was doing play-by-play for the Twitter account,
right?
and I said, let me go see if there's anything left in the food section of the press box, and just meet up with some of the fellow podcasters and writers and whatnot.
Okay. So, did you find any food point?
Food, no, they ran out, man. They served it early.
So they had nothing. Not even a cup of
No,
coffee.
I got snacks though. I did coffee and churros, so that was good. That was a win for me. They were pretty good churros too, and
Oh,
the ones with stuffing.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes,
what were
sir.
they stuffed with? What were they stuffed with? Like
Um,
cream or chocolate?
no, I don't know if they had chocolate, just like vanilla type.
Right. So a vanilla flavored creamy substance. Now,
Yeah,
Joel, you did
cheesy,
not give
cheesy goodness.
you did not give one of those churros a descremada,
What?
did you? You didn't give one of those churros a descremada, did you?
Kind of did with every bite, Yon. I gotta, I gotta admit, I gotta admit. Um,
You you relished the opportunity to give that churro descremada. I understand. I understand. Okay, so they play Canada next, and that is going to be in Denver on, I believe, Wednesday. And unfortunately, we're not going to have any Cantina presence at this game. I was hoping to go, but with my work schedule, having a game on Thursday, it just was not going to be practical for me to make the trip. But I will be in Charlotte on Sunday for Mexico's third match against Martinique, who lost, as you pointed out, 4-0 to Canada.
yeah, then that's gonna be the big game for Mexico. Mexico versus Canada, and that's the one that is. I mean, the one opponent that could probably show some more restraint, some more fight. Um, but we shall see. I think ultimately it's going to come down to the U.S. You know, of all the teams, even though even though they've looked bad in their friendlies, I don't think the U.S. is that bad.
They're
I
not.
think the coach just did what coaches do a lot of times is they take a risk in trying out formations or players or whatnot, and it it you know we've seen it with Mexico where a coach is not looking good and the media's just tearing them a new one. Uh,
Well, here's the difference: is that in Mexico that happens, and every newspaper and every television show, both regional, national, all the radio shows, the bloggers, the Twitters, Instagram influencers are just, as you pointed out, just giving the coach the what for, 7 days a week and twice on Sunday for 24/7. In the U.S. soccer plays badly, and all that happens is that people just forget
yeah,
about it.
no, that is true. Well, what with this? Mi lengua se traba. One thing that did happen because we have the Women's World Cup going on, and so a lot of media, I think, was a cheap shot, and they were using you know, they were using the U.S. Men's team results to try to like talk about paying the women team more money, and
Right.
so that's why it got more. They were put more on the hot seat, saying like, look, the women scored 13 goals against Thailand. Uh, they failed to mention those are like semi-pro players at best. You know, a
If
lot of
that.
them working other jobs. Uh, but yeah, it's not fair comparison. Um, but yeah, that has put them under the radar. But I expect them to put more fight. I mean, this U.S. team did beat Mexico already. It was a friendly, but it just goes to show they're not that bad, and they could still surprise you.
Well, I mean, they don't have, they have Jamaica on that side of the bracket because Costa Rica's on the Mexico side, so they're really not going to face any really threatening competition until maybe the semifinals of the final. I mean, then that's just the reality. And even then, I mean, it's going to be Honduras or is it going to be Costa Rica? It's going to be a team that, or it's going to be Panama again, because Panama, for
Um,
whatever reason, has always had good Gold Cups.
yeah, in Honduras, man, you gotta wonder where their psyche's at. That confidence must be through the gutters.
Yeah, they have had a rough go of it right before the Gold Cup played in Brazil. It's tuning up for a Copa America in Brazil, and yeah, so Honduras did get roughed up pretty good. We'll see how that plays out. So Mexico plays Canada Wednesday. They play Martinique on Sunday, and then they'll have a quarterfinal, semifinal, and in all likelihood, and then we'll see. And I'm going to leave it at semifinal because if they play Costa Rica in the semifinal, I mean Costa Rica could very well win that match. I know that our friend of the show and photographer up in the Bay Area, Jaime Landero, says Mexico, and he even posted, he says Mexico's going to win this tournament caminando, and that may be true, but I do think that as we pointed out, it's good to see Mexico play well, but the fact that they played well against that's as limited as Cuba really doesn't say all that much. But I think there's one thing we can take away is that Mexico played well. They didn't get frustrated, and they did what they had to do, and they did it, and they got what they needed, and they in a game like that, an early goal is like the greatest that you could possibly do, because the longer you don't score, the longer the team you're playing thinks that they're going to get away with it.
Yeah, and it's also the worst thing for like a team like Cuba.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
because
to
right
get
away,
scored early on by the stronger team, I bet the coach's notes just went through the shredder at that point.
exactly. As yeah, yes, you are exactly right.
Yeah, usually if you could hold on 15 minutes, if you could do the first 15 minutes, if you could keep the other team, you know, from scoring, usually you could start, you could start controlling the match, at least the timing of it and whatnot.
Right. No, you are exactly right. So things didn't work out so well for the Cubans or the Martinicans today. Things didn't work out for Argentina earlier today, Joel. They lost 2-0
I know.
to Colombia in the
It's like
Copa
you read
America.
my mind, Yon, because I was gonna bring that up, if only for one reason and one reason only, Yon.
Why is that, Joel?
They
Why
had
would you?
brought back Menotti as like the director of selecciones. He oversees the national teams, and I don't know how involved he is. Like if he's there to give pep talks, I'm assuming that's because that's been one of his forts or fortes, however you say that. And it's pretty sad to see that. You know, they're using that picture of Messi. Palm the Messi. Face palm Messi
Right.
is 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 a pic being used. So it's pretty sad to see what's going on with the team. Uh, we need to figure out you know what has them played. You have one of the all time greats on your squad, and you just can't win games. It's kind of baffling almost.
It is. And frankly, I just I I mean, who can you blame this situation? I mean, they have such great players. They have so many players. I mean, what other country has as many players
You-
as Brazil
Yeah,
and Argentina do to choose a national team?
yeah. Just putting two of those in the Mex squad and just forget it, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Mex wouldn't be talking about a fifth game. They would be talking about semifinals at least.
Right. No, I mean, it is just an impressive array of talent they both have, and the fact that they can't get it together. I mean, how does that happen? I mean, how does that happen? A team like our and Brazil, even when they flop around, it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. Aside from Messi, because there's a dynamic going on in that team that it started actually, Joel, in the Copa America of 20 when they played in Argentina. Was that 2011? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
20,
it was. Yeah, they hosted it. That's right.
and the entire Argentina game plan was give it to Messi. That was their offensive game plan. Let him do it, and we're just gonna sit around and watch. And they haven't been able to shake that, and that's been going on now for 8 years.
Yeah. Also, what's been affecting them is just the internal problems, and all that struggle for power.
Right.
So
That's right.
yeah,
Because Grondona's out, so there's like a major. I mean, there's got to be just a major power play happening right now in
yeah,
Argentina.
it's a big push and pull. Yeah, yeah. Because I was asking a friend. I have a friend over there, and I was telling him because to me, um, Gallardo seemed like a perfect fit. Simeone was one of the main ones as well, but he doesn't want it. He's like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And yeah, so Gallardo's been the big, he's the hot stuff right now.
Right.
As he's been winning a lot with River, and even though that team's it's not like the River of yesteryear when they had access to all the better players and the most money. They were the Millonarios, and
Right.
that's not them, dude. They're like they went from Millonarios to EBT, man, and to have that dude put him back on the map and winning, Copa Libertadores. He's won two already, and league and all that. It's very impressive. So he was one of the coaches that was that, and so I was telling a friend of mine, big River Plate fan, he's in Argentina, and he is like, nah, man, he won't even be considered and it was just political stuff, nothing to do with his abilities. And it's like, damn, that's it
So
just goes to show.
what political liabilities are working against Marcelo Gallardo to be the Argentina
Just,
national team
just
coach?
I think some of the people in charge are from the Boca camp.
Really? So
Yeah,
they can't even put that past them.
yeah. That's and over there, that's a bigger deal
So
than
the politics of the situation are the ones in charge are Boca fans, so they can't have it.
pretty much.
But
Uh,
okay, you know what? Then Argentina deserves what's happening to them. If that's how petty they are when it comes to decisions like this, then they deserve it.
yeah, yeah. It is. It's dumb. It's dumb, but who knows? We'll see what's going on. I mean, they did again. They put Menotti, but dude's 80, so I don't know how involved he is because he's one of the big guys. Doesn't get as much credit now because it's been so long, but he influenced guys like even Bielsa. If you read Bielsa, uh, he's quoted Menotti. He even influenced guys like Pep, who Pep he went into when he was learning to coach. He went to That's one of the guys he met up with. So
Right.
he's very influential figure, and our own Tata Martino. I'm pretty sure he's been influenced by Menotti as well. So, but I mean, at 80, I don't know what his health is. Who knows? Who knows what?
Do you think he still smokes like 8 packs a day like he used to?
Yeah, probably, man. Flaco, man, that guy's something else.
He last coached in Mexico. It wasn't too long ago. It was like when Estudiantes was still in the league. He coached for them for
Yeah, yeah. No,
like a half a term.
his results weren't all there though. Like in a lot of it, because he was just older, Uh, as
Right.
like Menotti. Yeah, I mean, this guy he goes way back to like the 70s. So
Well, yeah, he was the head coach of Argentina when they won the 1978 World Cup.
yeah,
So
yeah, going back to
yeah,
'78.
he's got that going.
Yeah, it's going
He could put that
all
one
the
on
way
his
back.
resume. You can put that one on your resume. So not too bad for him. Yeah, so that happened, Joel. I believe Peru tied Venezuela 0-0, and then last night Brazil put the screws to Bolivia and won their match 3-0.
Yeah, Bolivia's.
And
Yeah, and we're
Copa
talking
America, the seats are empty.
yeah, we're talking
As,
Copa America, and it sucks that Mexico won't be. There was some hope that at least the 2020, and it's gonna be what, Qatar and Australia.
yeah, it's just it's very unfortunate. It is, but you know what, Joel? You saw Exhibit A as to why CONCACAF doesn't want Mexico to go anywhere by what you
No,
saw tonight.
but you know what? I would tell our listeners there is still a glimmer of hope of a Copa America, because they might do one of those like the Centenario,
Right.
like a special edition. So there might be one of those that they might announce, because I do think you know, if you're Max, even the US, why wouldn't you want one of these tournaments? And they already hosted one and it was successful. And why not? Why not have another one? And I
I'll
think,
tell you what was so ass chapping to me about the whole Copa America Centenario is that Look, I know that Copa America has been around for a long time. It's the oldest international tournament in the world, and I get that. But up until Mexico started playing in 1993, no one gave a rat's bottom about not even the South American teams. How many times would Brazil send like a B squad or an alternate squad, or you know, no one ever took it seriously, ever, until Mexico started playing in it, which meant that they almost doubled their audience, right? And all of a sudden, Copa America became that much more important. And then when they finally get a chance to play it outside South America, they play in the States instead of playing in Mexico.
I
After
know,
everything Mexico did for that tournament.
that was a little bit upsetting because I know they had pushed really hard to host one. And I knew if Mexico hosted a Copa America, especially if they, with Azteca as the home field advantage, I
Right.
thought that they had a good chance of lifting that cup. And yeah, to see it being played in the U.S. And you know what? I get it why it was in the U.S. It was just more money
Well,
guaranteed.
I mean, I do too, but it's like, I mean, there are teams that are going to do just as well in Mexico as they do in the U.S. as far as ticket sales, and uh, so I just don't see how it was that much of a difference. Because no one in the U.S. is going to go see Haiti play Peru. I was at the game. I promise you, if there was 9,000 people there, it was a miracle. But in Mexico, Peru might be a little bit more, of an attraction because people have history with. They obviously have a history and admitted Argentina fan yourself, just like I am an admitted Brazil fan.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get it in a Centenario part
So
2.
that to me was in 2116.
Ah, wait,
El Bicentenario, is that when Mexico finally gets it?
it'll be no. Who knows? I mean, if they could do something where like co-host or maybe even triple host, you know, and with Canada, U.S. Mex, and if Mex could get the final, I would be happy with that.
Well, here's the thing. What are they? I mean, I think what's going to happen, Joel, is that in 2020, the Copa America is going to be played all over the place. I think everyone's going to get a game. I think it's going to be the tournament that I think that but then I think it's going to be ultimately then played like the knockouts are played in Argentina. I think that could very well happen.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Because I know that they're talking about
I
telling
want
what
to
the
see
other
Mex
Copas, but he's
play
moving to
South American teams in official games. It always makes for some good matchups.
Well, I'll tell you what it does, Joel, is that it takes a lot of the edge off South American arguments. Unless you're Brazilian or Argentine, you really can't argue about somebody over Mexico if you're from one of the other countries, because Mexicans and Argentina. But outside of that, they do extremely well.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I remember those old arguments, but I think going back since like '94, even '86, because Mex didn't play '90, but like just getting all of Mexico's results from '86 up until all the World Cups they played in a row. Yeah, they fared better than the majority of South American teams.
Right.
I think the only exception is every now and then you will have like an Uruguay that is gonna go far, but those those teams haven't been as consistent. I mean, only Brazil and Mex have qualified out of the group stage.
That's
They're
right.
the only two teams right now. They're the only two teams left that since what? Since '94 have
Yep.
made it out of the group stage. Every other, like even world champions like Spain and Italy and recently Germany have crashed in the group stage.
Think about that. I mean, we're talking about groups where only the top two advance. You don't get that soft third place thing like they had when they had the 2014 tournament in 1986, 90, 94, where
Yeah,
you have third place teams advance. Yeah, so advancing, I think that's what people, and you're right, people Mexico fans particularly, it's not easy to advance out of a World Cup, as evidenced by the fact that only Brazil and Mexico have done it in that time period. But the difference is that the world class, because they're good at every game. They might have one game where it'll be relatively tough, but the other two are going to, those are, as 9 times out of 10, they're guaranteed 6 points. So they're going to advance, and just getting out of the group stage, because then they'll have to play a tough game, and then they'll have to win they'll have to be one out of two really tough teams, and that's asking a lot for a team like Mexico, and for them to have been able to pull it off for the past 6 or 7 or 8 or however long it's been World Cups is very impressive. But it comes at a cost, and I think that's the biggest difference for me seeing Mexico and then the other countries, because they're just they don't get to take players off in the third game, so they're a little more spent, and we definitely saw it in Brazil against Holland, and I think we saw it again against Brazil. I'm sorry, Holland and Brazil, and then against Brazil in Russia, where Mexico just their legs they just didn't have legs anymore. It's unfortunate.
yes, sir.
It happens. Well, Joel, are you back on the freeway? Are you on the 210 heading back to Orange County?
No, actually, I'm headed to work. I go in at midnight. I go in 1 hour.
Goodness.
I know. This
So
Cantineros.
you got to go to downtown LA?
Yes, sir. That's where I'm at right now. I'm getting close to the MacArthur Park area, birthplace of the
So
MS-13.
is that the 140?
What?
Is that the 146 that you take down? Is that the 146 you take down?
No, the two.
The two.
Coming from Pasadena, so I was on the Glendale freeway. The two is the 2 Glendale. Yeah. Then I exit by Alvarado. This is basically little Central America right here. A lot of Chapines, Chapin land. They're not at the Gold Cup, are they?
The Guatemala, I don't think they are. No, I don't
They
think
didn't
they
even qualify. I mean, I can't remember the last time they were even in the tournament.
Well, they played Mexico in 2011, and we're up 1-0 in the quarterfinals for most of the game.
Ah, sure, yeah. I forgot it. Oh man, yeah.
That was El Pescadito's last hurrah.
Yeah, that was their big. That's their big player, man. That was their Chicharito, the little fish.
That's right.
Who was making a name for himself. There was this guy that he was a big fish fan, and he used to blog, and he used to like to compare him to Matador because Hernandez was in the MLS at the same time, and he was saying just how much more lethal Chicharito was, and he was using the MLS stats. Never mind all the international goals. Hernandez was scoring, at the
Right.
World Cup, at Copa America, at Confederations. He was using all the MLS stats to show that, This
So
guy was.
that's like comparing like a 25-year-old. Because I mean, by the time I thought was done, I mean he looked like a 60-year-old man playing out there.
And yeah, but the funny thing is now, I mean, because that was his whole thing. He's better than any Mexican striker, and that was his thing. I don't know if he was trolling, but he liked that's what he liked
Oh,
to do. And
definitely troll.
but his arguments now fall apart, man. Seeing what Vela's doing.
Right.
He's what like 14 goals.
He scored 14 or 15 goals in 14 or 15 games.
Yeah, and I think that's how many he scored last season. So he's setting up some records. So I'm pretty
He's
sure
already
Vela.
broken. He's already
Huh?
broken the Cubo Torres
Yeah,
record for most goals by a Mexican
yeah. And Good Torres was what, like 3 years?
MLS. You know, who? Yeah, who thought that anyone could ever reach that goal of scoring 14 goals of Cubo Torres in MLS for Carlos Vela. No, it is. Yeah, Guatemala's out. And sadly, it wouldn't surprise me if we did see him again, Joel, if Carlos Ruiz was still on the team. Here's 47-year-old Carlos Ruiz playing striker for. I mean, we shouldn't laugh. We trotted out a 39-year-old holding midfielder in the World Cups as our starter against Brazil.
Well, I mean, Conejosaurus Rex. He's 46 and he's still trying to look for a team. He's still trying to look for a Liga MX team. He has not retired. And I know he talked about hanging his boots about 3 years ago, but he's like the Energizer Bunny, man. He just keeps going. And I know and it's kind of sad now. It's kind of sad because I think teams don't want him. And he's like, I'll play for free, man. I don't want to say anything else. But yeah, it's kind of messed up to see that because he's like pretty iconic player, and to see him like that, almost begging for PT is just.
It's always tough to see players like that.
Yeah, and this again goes again, and I'm gonna bring it back to MLS.
Not even Atlas would take him. Wow.
Because they're willing to pay the big bucks, man, and a lot of players they need that retirement fund, because a lot of them they don't manage their money right, and they end up at these later stages, and then playing like in second division or third. And it's kind of messed up, that they're not doing it because they love playing. They're doing it because they need the money.
To quote the great Patrick Ewing. To quote the great Patrick Ewing, the former New York Knicks center, we make a lot of money, but you have to understand, we spend a lot of money too.
Yeah, and they make a lot, but they spend a lot. And if they don't, if they don't have a good, like you have to pay property tax and all type of things. And if they don't, if they didn't have any businesses going, and also if they could have side businesses, and if those businesses don't do well, they lose that money.
Right.
I remember Jorge Campos was trying to open Sport Tortas here in the U.S. And I thought, oh, damn, I could see that picking up. And I never heard of them again, dude.
Sport
Tortas. Yeah, and every sandwich was named after like a player, like the Hugo Sanchez and the Campos and whatnot.
That's awesome.
It was. I thought this was kind of, and for some reason it didn't take off.
We need to resurrect it.
By the franchise.
Sport Tortas.
By the Sport Torta franchise.
That's right. Because you could have think how much fun it would be to write the descriptions for all the sandwiches and stuff. It would be great. Just for that alone, come up with some some good things. Well, Joel, I think it's the time for us to wrap it up. I know you're getting close to your work. I'm getting close to my destination. But I think we'll probably get to do this again on Wednesday after the Mexico match against Canada. The first true test of the Tata Martino era.
Yeah,
The stingy Canadians.
after or during, whichever.
That's right. We could do a second half or even a first half. We'll have to figure that out. But we'll definitely be doing something for the Gold Cup when Mexico plays Canada on Wednesday. So we hope that you guys tune in to that. Joel Aceves, thank you very much for joining us here on the CantinaMX podcast.
Pleasure mine, Yon.
And I hope you had a good time passing down
Wait.
full report.
Wait, I think
yeah, breaking news.
Sorry to cut you off, man. We might have it's not a bomba, but it's I think he retired. Conejo Perez, I think he
Did he finally hang up the gloves?
Yeah. Let me see. I saw it. Oh man.
I think you're right. I think I remember seeing that earlier tonight. So if they may have finally.
There it is. After 25 years. So
Wow.
he's decided that he's gonna retire, but he was still looking for a club. So he retired because he couldn't find anything in first division. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, 20 years.
20 years, 3 World Cups.
Yeah. But like 2 days ago, here's a tweet from Perez himself. This was 2 days ago, and he said, I still haven't said it. He says, haven't said anything. I'm still exploring my options.
His options dried up.
His options. Oh man. Yeah. So that's kind of messed up. But I mean,
that is unfortunate. But you had a great career. I mean, you should not. I mean, you got to play those mid-40s, which is amazing. So, best of luck to him and his future Univision Deportes, which is where all former players end up.
Who knows, man? Maybe he could be a goalkeeping coach, or but it doesn't pay the same.
No, it does not.
That's
well, Joel,
some of those cars.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, Joel. And like we said, we'll do this again on Wednesday and have our special edition of CantinaMX podcast on Wednesday and again on the following Sunday. So we will talk to you then. Thanks very much for joining us, Joel.
Always a pleasure, Yon.
All right. And thank y'all for listening. We will see you guys again live on Wednesday.